All right. All right, come on in, everybody. Come on in. Welcome back. It is Saturday. Happy to have you all here. Welcome back to another episode of Let's Talk with Maggie and Lucy, where we believe the older women should teach the young. Just like the late, great Kevin Samuel said, Lucy and I like to come on here from time to time with you all and give you our take on marriage and family and relationships from two older women who have a combined 40 years of marriage experience. So today we are going to react to another video. We also have a course for those of you all who are interested in some private teaching on Zoom. We have a course that's going to be starting next month. It's called Relationship Basics. So if you like what you hear today and you want the ability to speak to us one-on-one and ask questions, the Relationship Basics is available. Go to teachablemomentswithmaggie.com and we start July 19th. So Lucy, what announcements do you have and what are we reacting to today?
This is a good one, but the announcement is that I'm not going to be able to join you for the Wednesday night sessions. We've been asked to return to the office the whole week. So, before while I was teleworking, I could spend time with my husband during the day, but once I get home, I need to spend full time with them. So that's one thing. I love our Wednesday night talks, but there's, got to priorities. But Saturdays we'll still be here. And yeah, this one is really good because it's sort of maybe like a warning or red flag for men that are going into a relationship thinking that all is well without discussing financial history with your possible significant other.
Absolutely. Well, you all heard it here, and like we've always said, we're here until we're not. And Lucy and I try to lead by example. And prioritizing marriage and family is not only what we talk about, but it's what we do. So we've been with you all twice a week. It's now going to be once a week. The message, still carries on, all the old messages, and what we have coming up for you all, plus our courses. But likewise, life changes, and work is work, and kids grow up and move on, and so hopefully you all are grabbing the information if it's valuable to you. But I have found that the people who really want to take action do, and the people who want to kick the can down the road, they do that too. So it doesn't matter if we're here once a week or every day. The people who prioritize marriage and family seem to have marriage and family. So that's who we're here to help. So yes, we're going to get those watch hours for Lucy, but her priority is her husband, as it should be. And Marcus is up and out. I got one more, and then you all know I'll be following right behind. All right, so the video today I've linked in the description. This one is another one. Should a woman with large financial debt be a no-go like baby mamas? So this one is another striking title. This is Ask an Older Man, so we're going to get right into it. Hello, J-Dub. Thank you so much for being here with us. We're happy to have you, and the Condemned is here. So I'm going to share my screen, and we're going to get right into it. We always like to know what you all think in the chat. This one is about 30 minutes, so let's see.
The calls are really making me regret ever going to college, considering I'm not even doing anything in my degree. But these calls are just a reminder that I'm first of all, doing nothing with my life. Second of all, broke as shit. And yes, I hee hee ha ha about it here, but it's literally not a joke. It's embarrassing, and it's the most stressful thing. And I never want to be the person that's driven by money. That's not me, but sometimes I wish I was, so I wouldn't be in the position I'm in.
The actual chokehold my debt has on me as a 26-year-old with over $100,000 in student loan debt. Like so many other people, my family didn't know anything about money, anything about college. I fully applied to everything on my own, and they encouraged me to take out loans with Sally Mae, the demonic, evil student loan providers that are always pushing you to take out more.
Broke. I don't have no money saved in my bank account. I'm young, and I cannot buy a house because I don't make enough money. I don't make enough money to buy a house.
I'm 22 years old and I have about $100,000 worth of debt to my name. About $52,000 is towards my car loan, while
22 years old.
All right, y'all. So that was a little montage, but before he goes in, I want to give our unfiltered response and then we'll listen to Ask an Older Man. Ladies, let me start by saying this. As attractive as you may be, as young as you may be, you can make yourself financially unattractive to the husband that you ultimately want. You can absolutely disqualify yourself from any significant relationship consideration because of the debt that you carry. And one of the things that I noticed, all of these women were young, and they have, not a little bit of debt in the tens of thousands. They're walking around with mortgages, 70, 100. I saw condemned here, 200,000 worth of student loan debt. I remember, Lucy and I both went to college. I remember working my way through college, maybe having like between $7,000 or $9,000 when I graduated that I paid off immediately. And it was from Sally Mae. And, the one woman who said the evil Sally Mae, ladies, us being able to sign on the dotted line and take what we want when it benefits us, and then calling the other person or the other party evil, it's not going to fly. That's not an adult response. We can't be irresponsible and then expect somebody to fix it. I don't care what any politician tells you. This is America. This is not one of those countries where college is free. There are some countries that make college free for their citizens, but this is not that. So if you are going into higher education, you need to do it with intention and have a plan in place. You absolutely cannot have more debt than you're going to be able to realistically pay off. There are so many other ways, but I think we just have this kind of carefree attitude in the moment and we act like it's free money. It's not. And as you can see from the stress, now that it's over, they are regretting those decisions. What would you add, Lucy?
Very well said. And notice that one of the young ladies was saying, my family didn't know anything about finances. The demonic Sally Mae, again, not taking personal responsibility and saying, you know what? I screwed up. And now this is a consequence of me not doing my research. I remember that when I first met my husband, I was going to Sac State University to get my bachelor's. And I graduated with about $17,000 of debt, which thank God I've paid them off. But I remember him saying, all right, so how are you planning on, taking on that responsibility? And he helped me switch whatever amount of money I had in a percentage rate loan to a very low percentage rate. But he didn't pay for it. He knew that that was my responsibility, and he never volunteered to pay, which he probably could have, but he understands that it's better that, we take on the responsibility before we got married. After, we married, he pays many other things, but he knew exactly, he set his limit, his boundaries, and I knew that that was a responsibility that I had to pay off. He also I was also thinking about getting a master's, and he sat down with me to do the pros and cons about what's the use for a master's? What are you going to use it? It's $50,000 more. Is there a return on investment for that? And there wasn't. And he kind of, gave me a different perspective. And I did not need to get a master's for what I'm doing, what I was doing back then and today. So again, it's really important for young ladies to listen to either those wiser men or wiser people that are telling you, you know what, maybe you might want to rethink how that educational program that you're taking for that much, and think about how are you going to apply it in real life.
Absolutely. I see you all in the chat. Let's go back in.
Oh, man. It blows my mind that this is a serious problem in America. And I don't think that women understand what they have done to themselves when they have literally just said, I want it now. I want everything and I want it now. My daughter's 18. She don't have a credit card. She'll be 19 soon and she won't have a credit card. She'll be 24 and she will still not have a credit card. You know why? Because daddy says you don't need a credit card. What a credit card does is it tells you you can have fun now and pay later. Whereas I say you earn your fun. You work hard, you save the money, and whatever money you save, that is the extent of the fun that you can have. That is how I teach my daughters because that's how my dad taught me. Simple as that. And so, my friends, that's what we're going to get into today because, gentlemen, you have to understand one simple thing. If you are hooking up or getting involved with any of these ladies long term and you decide to marry any of them, even from age 22, you are going to take on her $100,000 debt. Yeah, that's now yours, buddy. And so in this video, we're going to discuss one of the most important things about getting involved with a relationship, getting involved with a woman that has debt. All right. Hit that like button, my friends. This is going to be a hot one. Of course, subscribe if you haven't already. Book a session if you need a session with the older man. If you need any help with anything at all, I am here for you. I am that father figure, that uncle, that mentor that will help you try to get through and navigate life. Of course, pick up my Content Creators Toolkit. Start making your own content today. Look at creating a book. Look at creating a course. Look at creating something, a YouTube channel, an Instagram channel, something that could help you make some side income to help you pay off some of these bills. And if you want ready-made content that's there for you already, definitely pick up the Digital Vault. All right. It is over 8,500 pieces of content of every single design and type that you can imagine that you will have permanently sitting there in a vault for you. All you need is a free account with Canva. That's it. Done. And you can create anything you want. Okay? So, my friends, let's get into this first video. I'm going to start off with this last one that we were listening to. Let's listen to this 22-year-old because this blows my mind. I want to know how the hell she got into this much freaking debt this early.
I'm 22 years old and I have about $100,000 worth of debt to my name. About $52,000 is towards my car loan while...
Oh, you're 22.
All right, so let's unpack this one, you all. And everybody has different thoughts about money, but one of the things that I'm noticing as a red thread with these women, there seems to be a very carefree, lackadaisical approach to money. And what we have to understand as women is that men don't look at money like it's just a free for all. They look at it like time spent, years that they're not going to get back. It's the blood, sweat, and tears that they fought and bled for in order to trade either their knowledge or their skill or years of their life. So there's a thing about us that we can be just really irresponsible when it comes to money. So, again, as an older woman, I don't have daughters, but, if I did, I mean, we have boys, but we have to really think about the concept of delayed gratification. Lucy and I are both immigrants, and that's one of the things that my parents raised me on. You can't have everything all at the same time and want it now. There's a reason why, we were taught to save and invest because 40 is coming. 50 is coming. And what I implore young women to do is to start making decisions now about the life that you want to have when you're our age. You don't want to be saddled with that kind of debt. It's going to impair every decision that you want to make. So think about if you must take out any debt. Hopefully you don't. I lived at home. I was a commuter student. I worked my way through college. I had partial scholarship. And then I did go back to graduate school. But the only way I got that MBA is I was working for a company that had 100% tuition reimbursement. So I went to work full time during the day, and then I went to school at night. So while everybody else was turning up during my 20s, I was hitting the bricks. Now I can live a much more comfortable life because I'm not saddled with that kind of debt. And, I've now able to do some of the things that I wasn't able to do when I'm younger. Travel now like I didn't do before. Splurge on a few things like I didn't do before. But these 20-year-olds that are thinking that you're supposed to have the sun and the moon and the stars right now, it will hamstring you for the rest of your life. And like I said, it will make you financially unattractive to the man that you want, because men know, ladies, we're not built for it. No woman that I know is trying to work full time 60 hours a week until they're 65. Honestly, when we get a man, we want our money to be incidental, and they know that. So you can't come saddled with debt and then have the work ethic of someone who just wants to do something part time as a hobby. They're not going to take you seriously. What would you add, Lucy?
And as the modern world continues to move forward, men are looking at, is this going to be, again, we've talked before, is this going to be a liability or an asset for me? Am I going to be the responsible for those hundreds of thousands of dollars for an education that's not even coming in to help me with the kids? Because now some modern women are even saying that they don't want to have children. So, and look at it kind of like a whole. What are you coming in and give this man in return? Because again, man, in modern thinking right now with women, they think that men only want that one thing. But you know what? Unfortunately, because of the modern world is like it is, he can get that one thing from anybody. So in addition to that one thing, what additional assets do you bring in to make, a world for him much more peacefully? In a $52,000 car for a 22-year-old, I can't imagine having that amount of debt in addition to whatever loans, it, she added herself to, just to have a nice car. That is so weird. But again, like you said, Maggie, is that immediate gratification that people want. And it's all this, look at me, look at how good I look, even though behind the scenes you are drowning in debt.
Agreed. Let's go back in.
Why do you need a $52,000 car? That's the first thing. Your car should never have cost you any more than around $10 to $12,000. That was my first car. My first car, well, back then, I think it cost like $6,500. It was about 8 years old. That's what my father could afford. With my little money that I had saved up from my summer jobs, I had to save up half of it, and he gave me the other half. And that is technically how I bought my first car. All he did was he made sure that it ran well and it was safe. That's it. And it was my job to take care of it. And to me, man, that was the best thing ever. All of my friends jumped in. We had a ride. That's it. All we wanted was a ride. We didn't care how the hell it looked. We had a ride. We didn't have to depend on public transport. We didn't have to depend on other friends. We had our own ride. That's it, man. Everybody chipped in a little bit of money for gas, and that's how we got from here to there. Now, you're going to spend what? $52,000 in a car? Jesus. No, no, no. Let's hear what else she has.
Dollars is towards my $24,000 is towards my credit cards, and about $8,000 is towards my student loan.
$24,000 on credit card and $8,000 on student loan. I would.
I think we're about to say the same thing. You all can do the struggle math. 50,000 on a car, 25,000 on credit cards, 8,000 on student loans. Just look at the priority that she's putting on the things that matter to us. Like they say, follow the money. And you can do what you want to with your disposable income. That's one thing that I've learned. Everybody has their thing. Some of you are purse people, shoe people. I'm a travel person. Some of you, are car people. That's fine. But when you have when you're struggling to pay bills, she spent the bulk of her debt on a vehicle that's going to depreciate, already is depreciating. There's no reason. I don't think any, like he said, any 22-year-old. Do what you want to, but you should be established and everything should be humming along. Usually men get that really nice car after decades of sacrificing for the family. And then we want to say they're having a midlife crisis when they've had the beater car or the beater pickup truck so that the wife and the kids could have the secure transportation. What has she done in her life? And again, it's her money. Kinda. She borrowed it, so it's not her money. But what have you done to earn a $50,000 car and then 25,000 in credit card debt, and oh yeah, the student loan is 8,000. So obviously her work is not as important as her ride. What would you add, Lucy?
And sadly, these are the same women that fall for, all political promises that your student loan is gonna be paid. Well, that's a promise, but not actuality. So again, some of them just depend on somebody coming to save them. And, at this point, life is too hard to start thinking about saving, everybody because, ultimately you make your own home a priority. Everybody else, they're going to have to fend for themselves. And that's an $84,000 debt, where she could start thinking about, the smallest debt is the $8,000. She could start paying that off because it's probably at a lower percentage, or get rid of that car. Get rid of that car and, get a beat up, an older type car with a little more mileage, but take away that debt and then focus on the credit card and the student loan. Is just so odd, and unfortunately at that age they don't listen. I can tell you that we can tell them until we're blue in the face. I was watching another streamer's live stream about the last Wednesday's uh, a person, John Griffith, I think. And in the comments, the younger people were saying, oh, he's sold. He doesn't know what he's talking about. So again, it's that wisdom that they don't know that the older people have that information to offer, because it's, we want you not to live, every day in a desperate way because you have all these creditors calling you in. But then again, you have these young people saying, oh, they're old, they don't know what they're talking about. And that's when you say, you know what? All right, you're going to have to learn by, experiencing it yourself.
Agreed. Let's go back in.
Have thought it should have been the other way around. So that means that she didn't put that much thought behind her education. She put it towards consumption. Whew. Young lady, you had no guidance at all growing up. Wow.
Regarding my credit card debt, I chose debt settlement. So my balance used to be like 40,000, and they took away all interest charges, and now it's only like $24,000. So I am actively trying to avoid bankruptcy right now. I don't want to file for bankruptcy at 22 years old. I know a lot of people are advising me to do this, but I just don't think that's smart if I can actually pay it off. Debt settlement was the best option for me for several reasons. One being it's more private, it isn't on your record the way bankruptcy is. Debt settlement does negatively affect your credit score, but it is usually less severe, and the time span of it affecting your score is much shorter than bankruptcy.
This blows my mind. It just blows my mind that Americans put.
I don't know how any of this stuff works, but I hear so many women, I'll say it, women have gone through a bankruptcy, which is just, to me, growing up, and I'm not a financial advisor, but bankruptcy in my mind was one of those things where if you had like a medical catastrophe or some emergency, a death in the family, or some tragic event that was unforeseen and just destroyed the family. That is what a bankruptcy was for. But now people are using bankruptcy just to get out. Did you hear her credit card debt was 40,000, now it's 24,000 because of this settlement or whatever. She didn't touch the car, but get rid of the interest payments, get rid of the stuff that I don't really want to pay, but that car I'm keeping. Again, just a lack of priorities and using the nuclear option as the first option, which again, ladies, you can say Lucy and I are old, that's fine, we are, but the men that you want, they don't think about what you do for right now. They're thinking about your decision making, your character, your priorities. When it comes down to making a decision for the future, for the family, you know what, little Timmy needs braces, or we need to save to put him in a private school, or whatever it is. But oh, the shoes that I want are for sale, are on sale. What are you going to do? What has your reputation and your decision making shown that you're going to prioritize what you want right now or what's best for the long term? What would you add, Lucy?
And the condemned is right. Bankruptcy is being used for financial restart, just due to frivolous and reckless spending. I remember a long time ago, somebody saying, "Oh, then let me rack up all my credit cards, and then I will claim bankruptcy just to get over that." And unfortunately, it's one of those, you are rewarding bad behavior, because again, what you have 7 years of maybe not as good credit, but then after those 7 years, the clock restarts, and then you can start putting those credit cards back up and then claim another bankruptcy. It's insane, and it's the level of immaturity and responsibility that it's just getting worse.
So hard to see. Let's go back in.
So much emphasis behind a credit score. Do you understand what this has done to you psychologically? If you didn't have to borrow money, why would you need a credit score? Most people don't own their homes right now, period. So if you just work, you make enough money, you buy a nice car. It don't have to be the best car. 4 or 5 years old, you're good to go. You pay for it cash. You accumulate enough cash, you buy your car. Your rent, you don't need a mortgage. So your two biggest expenses, you don't have to borrow any money on. So you don't need a credit score. You use a debit card, or you can have a credit card that the instant you buy something with it, you pay it off. I know a lot of you like to use credit cards for the points and what do you call it, airline miles, etc. You could do that, but take advantage of the credit cards. Meaning, this is what my wife does, because I don't own a credit card. She has a credit card, she puts everything on it, but she pays it off before it comes due, because it's the same spending, right? So what that does is it just accumulates a hell of a lot of points, whether it's for hotels or whether it's for airlines. She likes doing that. It's not my thing. I prefer to take my money and I put it into investments. I have developed the discipline not to want to consume anything that I cannot afford. And what that does is it makes me work harder to achieve what I'm trying to get. And it also stops me from becoming an impulse buyer, because there's nothing that I need urgently. There's stuff that I want, and I don't have a card to throw it on. I don't even keep disposable income readily available. I have to break an investment first to buy something of significance, because everything is invested. Now, I have enough liquid funds available if there's an emergency. In other words, there's a bond there that I could break in 1 or 2 days, but that's it. There's no cash that I can instantly jump on. That's how I stay disciplined. You guys should try the same thing and also encourage your kids to do the same thing. You get caught up in this trap of, oh, I need a good credit score. No, you don't. Because all this does is it forces your brain to think, I need to get a loan. I need to borrow money. I need to be the slave. This is how they enslave you.
Bankruptcy. Debt settlement can also reduce the amount you owe, while with bankruptcy, you might have to give up some of your assets, like your car and like your jewelry. I think that if you have a larger debt balance than I do, then yeah, bankruptcy might be the right route for you. But in my case, I am able to afford my debt settlement payments. I also feel like with the debt settlement route, you are open to future business loans or future car loans, while with a bankruptcy on your report, you're very unlikely to be open to those things.
You see, all she's talked about is loan.
Oh my goodness. Yeah. Her decision making. And did you hear her when she said, if you go the bankruptcy route, You may have to give up your car. Again, we see what's important to her. You may have to give up your car or jewelry. But if you go the debt settlement route, you still have options to get other loans. Her way of thinking, I think we've belabored the point, but I just want to also say here, ladies, these companies, I know Mr. President says all the time, we're new in this world. We asked for all this freedom and now we have it. And we're like kids in the candy store. We don't really know what to do with this newfound freedom. And we asked for these big high paying jobs and now we got them. But what do we have to really show for it? Where are we, promoting the family, and where are we sacrificing and leaving something behind to our kids and our kids' kids? I'll say this too, these organizations, I'm not going to sit here and say anybody is evil. Nobody puts a what to our head, and we can sign up for or not sign up for anything. We have to be fiscally responsible, just like we are responsible with our bodies and with our behavior. But I noticed something. I was taking Alex shopping. It was either for school shopping or for a uniform for his summer job. We went to Old Navy because that's where I get my clothes. Y'all can shop where you want to. I'm not a big spender on clothes. And I do have an Old Navy credit card with a zero balance. And the way I was coming up, if you had a store credit card, they used to allow you to pay that credit card right at the register. So we had his pants or whatever it was, and we were going through the checkout line. And of course, there's always these things to entice you to spend more. And they had a discount or some type of coupon. And if you paid with cash or your own money, you didn't get the discount. But if you use the Old Navy credit card, you got 20% off. So let's say we're spending $100 on clothes, that's $20. So I said, okay, no problem. Here's my, look up my account number with my phone number. Yes, let's use the Old Navy credit card. While I was still at the cash register, I took my debit card out and I said, I want to go ahead and pay. Let's say it was $80. I want to go ahead and pay off my account $80 so I maintain a zero balance. And he said, oh, we don't do that anymore. We stopped taking card payments at the register. So now you have to either go online or call it in. So now they've put a hindrance between me staying debt free. Now I have to remember to go home and either make a phone call and get online. I was like, I don't like that. Another way that, because we're so easily distracted, then I'm going to carry this balance. And is that free money? No, it's not free money. There's going to be interest. So I said, fine, let's go, Alex. So as soon as we go home, I go online to Old Navy, or I called to try and pay this $80 that I just spent. And when I look at my balance, it's $0. They let me charge it at the register, but it's not showing up in my statement yet. And so I'm like, okay, whatever. Let me go ahead and prepay $80 so that when that charge hits that I just made at the store, I'll have that zero balance. When I try to make the payment, it says no payment due. You are unable to make a payment because your balance is zero. So again, a second hindrance to me keeping a zero balance. So now I have to wait however many days for the transaction that they gave me the clothes in the store to hit my account, and remember to pay it off in full so that I don't get charged interest. That was a lesson for me. I was like, aha, they don't give you these credit cards. They don't give you these store credit cards just to make it easy. That discount is to lure you in and make it hard for you to pay. So what did I do? All this technology that we love walking around with, I put a reminder in my phone. Check back in a few days. And I kept checking back. And as soon as I saw the $80, I didn't wait for a statement. I went ahead and paid. Don't even mail me anything because I'm not going to get wrapped up in this. That is how diligent we have to be, ladies. And if you don't think about purchasing that way, if you think you're just going to be, a free for all with your money, then do that with your money. I promise you, the man that you want is not going to let you be careless and carefree with his money. What would you add, Lucy?
I like that point about how many barriers they make it to stay, solvent. And we got to remember that these people, there are marketing firms studying our behavior, our purchasing behavior, just to get us in additional debt. You know how many card offers I get online or in the mail about, $15,000, but if you apply now, zero balance, blah blah. That's how they get you hooked. And if you're in a bad financial situation, those are kind of immediate savings for you, because they get you hooked so you can start getting into more debt than required. Again, I think that goes back to just being responsible for what it is that you owe, and not thinking that something will happen to get you out of that responsibility. And we women, that we want immediate gratification. We are the men are the hunters, we are the gatherers. And because we're gatherers, we want to gather everything. And we are women, we follow trends. So if that person is wearing that color lipstick, I want to wear it because it looks good on her. So again, stop buying into all of these trends. It's all about them getting your money. So once you start seeing the world that way, it's, why are they offering me this? There's always, a catch to this. You start seeing life as, no, I think I can hold off a little more and pay for it when I have the money.
Agreed. Let's go back in.
Loans, 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 loans. These young people and a lot of Westerners have been programmed to think that debt is the only way to exist. Freaking scary as shit, man. I'm telling you, ladies, you have to change your mindset.
The actual chokehold my debt has on me as a 26-year-old with over 100,000 in student loan debt. Like so many other people, my family didn't know anything about money, anything about college. I fully applied to everything on my own, and they encouraged me to take out loans with Sally Mae, the demonic, evil student loan providers that are always pushing you to take out more. And I always see other people talking about this, and in the comments, there's always people like, ooh, take accountability. Like, you're the one that took it out. You chose to take it out. Yeah, I did, and I can still be pissed about it. It literally, sometimes I'm like, someone take me out. Like, I do not want to be alive dealing with this crippling stress on my shoulders. I just wish I was a Nepo Baby, like all of my fave influencers that I watch that had no student loan debt, no rent, nothing of that. And I'm filled with envy.
No, trust me, a lot.
All right, I'm old and I don't know what a Nepo baby is. It doesn't even matter. But ladies, we're not going to be able to wish it away or, bat our eyelashes away or, do other things to get yourself out of the box that you put yourself in. At 26, with six figures of debt, I've heard it said you should never take more student debt than you're going to make in annual salary. And I don't know what type of job that she works, but I doubt she's making six figures at 26. A lot of us have to wait years to get to that point, unless you're in some very specific fields. But one of the things that I implore young people to look at the degree that you're going to school for and look at the type of work that you'll be able to do with that degree. I would also encourage you to only go to schools that have really robust career placement programs that will help you. You have to understand some of these schools now are just churning these degrees out and then you're on your own. Both of the schools that I went to, they had recruitment offices where companies would come on campus and they would interview us in our senior year so that when you graduated, not only did you have a degree, but you had a job waiting for you upon graduation. Honestly, that's why both of the boys are going to the military, because they want to have skills that they can use immediately, and they don't want to rack up student loan debt. They don't even really like school that much. So we have to, again, start thinking now, if you're really young, about your 26-year-old self. You want to be untethered in every way possible. If you're interested in relationships, and that's what Lucy and I promote here, you can have all the other boxes checked, but come to a man of means with $100,000 in student loan debt, and he'll say, no, next, on to the next one. It's not worth it. And then you're going to be saddled with that until you're 65. What would you add, Lucy?
And she's talking about wishful thinking. I wish I was this Nepo baby. Nepo baby is a person born in privilege, with parents that have earned the money, and they, by association, get that same recognition. So again, she's living in just some, again, delusional environment where, yeah, you can wish as much, but the debt is still there. So yeah, it's very sad because these women do not know how bad it's going to be when they are in their 30s and 40s alone, because they're still going to have that debt, or they're still going to have that, one, two, three bankruptcies in their background, and nobody's going to want to get near that toxicity. They're kind of radioactive at that point. So again, just be careful about how you spend your money, because ultimately it's just stuff to pretend that you have, the better purse or the better outfit or the better car, and when you are in your dying bed, that's the last thing that you're thinking about. You're thinking about, wow, I wish I would have spent a little more time with my family doing just, gatherings at home.
Agreed. Let's go back in.
A lot of those so-called influencers, they got massive debts as well, because a lot of them are using their debt to show you a lifestyle. They're trying to show you a lifestyle that is definitely not being paid for by the content that they're putting out there. I know, I'm a content creator. I know how much it takes to actually live a particular lifestyle. It would be fine if you were living in Philippines or Bali or one of those, or Thailand, or one of those, lesser expensive places. But living in the US and some of these expensive places, you got to be pulling in at least $250,000, 300,000 to front and to show the lifestyle that a lot of these so-called influencers are showing you. And this is what has influenced so many women to actually try to achieve that lifestyle with their own salary or their own debt. Most of them are just using debt to actually pay for a lifestyle.
How I got myself $23,000 into credit card debt. I started dating a guy when I was around 12 or 13, and I dated him throughout middle school, high school, and into my early 20s. I'm not going to get into the super juicy details of this relationship, but just know that it was mentally, physically, emotionally abusive. And I am so, so grateful to be out of that relationship now. But I did make some bad financial decisions whenever I broke that relationship off 3 years ago. When I was in that relationship, I was controlled a lot, and I wasn't able to hang out with my friends. I wasn't able to travel. I wasn't really able to do anything. And that kind of led into my spending problem whenever I left that relationship. So I broke it off. I started doing solo trips out the wazoo. I was doing solo trip after solo trip, and guess what? I didn't have any money. I was working as a teller in a bank. I still work in a bank, but I've since moved up positions. But I was working as a teller, so I wasn't making much. And so in turn, I was putting it all on my credit cards because I wanted to have these experiences that I felt like I had lost out on. Does that make sense? I pretty much did.
She was in a controlling relationship.
All right. So the relationship part of it, honestly, is irrelevant. We are all responsible for the decisions that we make, whether we're in a relationship with somebody or not. But I'll just say this, again, we've talked about the delayed gratification. And ladies, you have to be very careful. And, I'll say this as someone who loves to travel, but at 50 years old this year, working with 2 kids almost grown, there's a very different life that you can live. When I was in my 20s, married and struggling, we would go to Six Flags. That was a vacation, or maybe a day trip. You can't look at people at different stages of their life and think that's supposed to be me. It can be something to aspire to. I remember being young and seeing people live in, the big neighborhood with the cul-de-sac. I want that one day, but I started in a starter home. So you got to be careful about that, as well as being careful about looking at people on social media, which is most of the time not real. It's what people want you to believe. The other thing that I wanted to say, young ladies, and Lucy and I are here, we're not financial advisors, but we are here to promote the young women who are prioritizing marriage and family in their best years. Ladies, let me just say the quiet part out loud. The man of your dreams is not going to be as impressed as you think with that big piece of paper on that wall or the big job that you have. The men that we want us to fill a role in their life as a support system. If you want something traditional. Now, if you want to be the man and you want to carry the burden and have him be the wind beneath your wings, then go for it. Trust me, I'm telling you from experience, you can put yourself in that breadwinner role. I promise you, you will grow to resent it. But most of the time, men are looking to take that burden from us, take that stressful job away from us, take that responsibility and those deadlines and that commute. They don't want us stressed out and frazzled out and, checking the phone and checking the emails. That's not how they envision their wife. So if you want to be married, if you want a family of your own, you need to choose the type of work that you can still prioritize family, or your job will be your family. A lot of these big boss women are married to the job and there's no room for a loving relationship. So don't let, your girlfriends or these institutions or, your parents or other people set you up to say, yeah, you go out there and get it. And then you're treading down the path and you look left and right and you're on your own, because the man that you want never asked you to go get that law degree, that medical degree, that business degree. Because as soon as you meet him, you're going to be like, please take this off my shoulders. What would you add, Lucy?
Yes, and the young lady, she says that she was in a relationship in her teens, and then he became mentally abusive and controlling. I was waiting for the narcissism to come out, because it's like they study a script and they all say the same thing over and over again. And if I was somebody that was trying to meet her, if those words come out of her mouth, I would be saying, I pay, check please, pay for whatever we had and go. Because again, this is not the first time that this woman is going to be talking about whoever she met before, after a relationship. And that's another thing that it's really interesting. These women getting online to, say all of these things about past relationships. What do you think a potential future relationship is going to think when they see you say, spilling, the entire story to the world for clicks and, subscriptions and followers? What do you think that guy is going to say? Or what do you think that new job offer, a job place is going to say? I was watching something earlier today about women that were getting, or people that were getting fired from technology places, and the reason that they were fired was because somebody in their organization watched one of their TikToks where they were talking about, the good, bad, and the ugly about the organization, and then that got them into trouble. And then they go back and say, I was fired because I did this for this organization. What do you think the future organization is going to say when they see you, blasting out what they did to you in the past? You are not going to get a job if you continue to do that. You're not going to get a, future interest person, significant other, if you start sharing all your, maladies and bad luck online, always blaming the next person instead of saying, you know what, I screwed up. That's it.
Agreed. Let's go back in.
Abusive, mentally abusive, whatever. The bottom line is that was the man that was controlling your stupid impulses. It wasn't until you left the relationship was when you started to accumulate debt, because you thought that all of these so-called fun things which should have been given to you by the man. The man probably didn't have the money for that, or he realized that this wasn't necessary. He wasn't going into debt to fund your stupidity, your so-called trips, your solo trips. This man controlled your stupid impulses. And when he was no longer there, guess what happened? You end up in financial trouble. That man was good for you. And this is why I keep telling you guys, man, you have to control your woman. And I know a lot of you ladies are going to go, well, you don't want to control. I know man is going to control me. That is what happens when you don't have a man controlling you, because men use their freaking logic and common sense. If you look at the majority of these videos, it is not men that are in debt. Women control 80%, 80% of the consumer debt in the Western Hemisphere. The majority of it is in the US, UK, and Canada. Women, not men. Men do not get into the debt at the rate that women do. And that's why, gentlemen, you have to be careful of which woman that you get involved with, because these women will drag you into a debt trap. Because if you do not investigate how much debt she has and you go and marry her, or you're involved with her as a partner, right? Guess who's going to start whining? Oh, I'm just so depressed because I'm in debt and credit card's calling me again. Oh, all right, baby, no worries, man. I got this. Don't worry. I got this month. Okay, I got it this month. Next month, same thing. Oh, I can't pay my debt. I can't. Honey, can you help me again? Okay, baby, no problem. And then all of a sudden, you realize that you're the freaking one that is upholding her debt. You're paying off for her shit, thinking that you're rescuing her. And guess what? When she's now debt free, she's going to either rack it up again or she's going to leave your ass because you have fulfilled your job of taking her out of her pain. Just be careful, gentlemen.
I'm 23 years old and I'm in $300,000 of debt. And no, I don't plan to pay it. It used to really bother me, but I'm done letting it bother me. And before anybody says I'm lazy or to get a job, I have a job. I work 40 hours a week. Not to mention I work in healthcare, so I'm also saving lives. If a debt collector calls me, they're getting blocked. Because seriously, why would you give that much money to a 23-year-old? It's not my fault.
I can't listen to her freaking crunch on this damn thing.
We may have to stop here and do a part 2. So many things wrong about that. So many things wrong about that. $300,000 worth of debt. That's not a home. And she's 23 years old. Life hasn't even begun for her. And she has hamstrung herself. She doesn't even know yet how much damage she has done. And I saw someone in the comments who said a lot of women hold on to this debt until they retire. And ladies, that's one of the differences between us and men. We live in this whimsical world where we think it's always going to be this way. Somebody's always going to come rescue us. Everything's going to be okay. Men live in a very different type of world. Men live in a very realistic world where they know the enemy is always at the gate. Tragedy could come at any moment, and I am not going to be able to do this back-breaking job that I hate forever. That is one of the reasons why men are very diligent, and they don't spend everything that they have. They put it aside because they know the cavalry is not coming. Nobody is coming to rescue them. All right. So for her to rack up that much debt at 23, and then the audacity, the nerve of you, like Kevin Samuels used to say, the arrogance of saying, not, this is keeping me up at night. I don't know how I'm going to solve this. If you all have any answers or any ideas, let me know. I'm working 2 jobs. I'm burning the candle at both ends to make a dent, and I'm basically, barely treading water. Her little behind fixed her mouth to say, and no, I'm not going to pay it. How dare you? How dare you take what somebody is willing to give you and then just say, oh, well, too bad, so sad for you. And for her to do that between bites of a muffin was adding insult to injury. It just shows her lack of empathy, her lack of care. And again, ladies, remember what I said. Men don't think about right now. This is who you are. The house could be burning down. The children could be sick. Your man could be, unemployed. Everything could be falling down and you're going to be, this is you. I don't know. I don't know what to tell you. Too bad, right? That is who you are. That is how you show up to be. And like Lucy said, you never know who's watching. The internet is forever, like someone has said in the comments. And so you are showing up as an irresponsible, arrogant, apathetic young woman, and that's how you're going to stay. And anybody who does have the resources to help you, people are not going to help anybody who just doesn't care. People come to help you when they see you trying. The reason why we have so much support here, people see us grinding and working and taking time out of our comfortable lives that we don't have to try and impart knowledge to young women who are doing the right thing. But to have that attitude and be so bold to just say no. They shouldn't have given that money to a 23-year-old. Last thing I'll say is this, ladies. Again, the men that we want, Mr. President. When we reconnected, y'all know I'm somebody that I grew up with, and life brought us back together. He asked me to do a spreadsheet of all of my income and all of my expenses. And there was a part of me, reformed modern woman, that was like, this is my money. Who is he asking? But I knew better and I shut my mouth and I did it. And it forces us to not only look at, okay, this is what I do every month, but also to answer to somebody and to be responsible for swiping that card. It's no coincidence, like he said. These aren't young men that are saying somebody got me, $100,000 and $300,000 of debt. These are young women. And when you get our age, it's not uncommon. It's mostly women that get caught up in these get rich quick schemes, that get caught up in, timeshare presentations and investing and sending money to foreign who know what's over email. And somebody promised me if I invested this much, I'll get 10 times. It's we women, because our emotional nature wants to believe the best, even if all of the evidence is against it. This is why we need our men. Or you can do your own thing and figure it out. What would you add, Lucy?
And imagine if she's the healthcare environment. What type of healthcare? Is she a nurse? Then things start going, okay, so is she going to be as careless with the patients as she is with her finances? Oh, Disciple One, thank you, because I love the grind that you and Lucy, you are on. Oh, thank you so much. Well done. Thank you. So again, how responsible are you going to be with the patients that you're caring for? If you're in the billing and clerical, how responsible are you going to be with consolidating or to balancing the checkbook? And, do we need to not trust you because you have that much amount of debt, and, and you have a petty cash box somewhere where money starts disappearing? Again, she has no idea how horrible it is that she is saying that with a clean face at 23 years old. And you don't think that people are watching this and saying, yeah, no, thanks. We need to look into HR and see if, keep an eye on her, because she, again, is a liability. To be talking about $300,000 debt, just eating like she is some type of psychopath, that's really scary, to say, okay, I have no empathy for anybody because, that's, you gave me that money, I just used it, and I don't know how you're going to get it from me because I don't have the money. So scary.
It absolutely is. Well, I know we're coming up on time, Lucy. We'll have to stop here and do a part one since you took a break from your Saturday workday. But again, you all, we'll be back next Saturday to continue part two of this. But again, our heart is for the young women in their 20s that are prioritizing marriage and family. Or if you're older, you already made that decision and you're working hard every day to put your family first. And we want to say, as much as being, agreeable and feminine and as attractive as possible and kind and, honest and true and all of these things that we talk about, you can be financially attractive or unattractive to your man. Lucy talks about that all the time. Are you an asset or a liability? And we talked about that chaos and the boundaries on Wednesday. no man who has built his world is going to let a woman like that eating a biscuit with $300,000 of baggage behind her come in and wreck shop. He will stay in his little bungalow on the beach and be without that chaos. So we're going to wrap it here. Thank you so much, Discipled One, for the $20 saying you love the grind. We're here to help, but we're here until we're not. And the internet is forever. So I encourage you all to take what you can and do better, because like Lucy always tells me, Maggie, we have our men. So we're going to focus on our family. And I'll do a London stream on Wednesday to catch you all up on travels. And then Lucy and I will be back next Saturday. All right, everybody. With that, we will say
Adios.
adios.